everybody, and welcome to the Weatherboys podcast. I am Derek Kevra. That is Alan Longstreet.
Oh, hello.
You're supposed to do the hello.
Oh, my gosh. Look at that.
Every time you do the little hello.
Hello.
And we are the Weatherboys. Welcome to the Weatherboys podcast. We are very excited about our guest today. We will introduce him in a matter of minutes. But first, we must address the most recent Weatherboys piece that hit the air on Fox 2. It just aired this morning. The one where Alan tricked me.
Yeah. How'd you feel about it? You didn't. I'm pleased with the end product, but I was disappointed during the story because I was not, you're a man of reaction. And I felt like you weren't very scared. And this was something that I really wanted to get you with.
So if you haven't seen the piece yet, Alan, so we always go out, we do some crazy adventure. Alan has been pitching this particular adventure for years, but I will not say yes to it because
You never knew about it. This has been Derek's great. I talked to Matt and Brian about it behind your back for a very, very long time.
The idea had come up and I put the kibosh right away because the idea is beekeepers for a day. And I have a fear of bees. I am scared of bees. Why am I scared of bees? Because every year, without fail, I get stung multiple times a summer.
But not by bees. But not by bees. And if you watch the story, Brian, the beekeeper man, will explain they're different. They're not even the same. Not even in the same genus, which you tried to claim that they were.
Yellow jackets. I get stung by yellow jackets. Yes. But it's gotten so bad that now when I get stung, I feel like the opposite of what should be happening is happening. Now when I get stung, I have more of an allergic reaction than I used to have. To the point where, like, one year I got stung like 7 times on my bicep, and my bicep swelled so much that I could barely get my work shirts on.
Yeah, you're growing weak with old age.
Which, not a problem, honestly. You know, not really an issue.
No, that's great. Are you kidding me?
I felt like you
real swollen. Yeah, real jacked.
Couple of weeks.
Look at you.
But the story was great. You did a great job with it. So Alan, he would not tell me where we were going. They literally blindfolded me. Zip tied my hands, which not necessary, by the way, but
it was necessary. I mean, not like we didn't need to do it, but we needed to do it. There are different levels of need, right? Like low level, like capital T truth and like regular T truth.
Yeah. I mean, it made for some funny moments, when I wanted a sip of water and then we hit a pothole and the water ended up
all over. It was good. It was good. It was hot. It was sweaty, and it's honestly it was really incredible. Like half the video is the nonsense hijinks, and then the other half is like the bees. And the bees, they really are fascinating. They're just see them all moving and doing their things, and it's pretty wild.
Well, and the kidnapping part of it was. There was some stuff that didn't make it into the piece. For example, Alan drove around in circles for, 15 minutes? So I would get a little bit lost.
This guy right here is like a robot. I tied him up, I spin him around, I put him in the vehicle, and he's like Rain Man. He's like, we are now going westbound on Southfield, and we just turned off of the exit now. And so I was actually getting really mad at you because you were like foiling my plans. I didn't want you to know anything about anything, and you knew exactly where we were.
But you did a good job throwing me off because at one point you attached what you said was a harness to me.
Yes.
And it turned out to be just a hanger.
Right.
You just hooked my belt with a hanger. But you took me inside. You walked me around inside. You put me in an elevator. I went down. Then we came back up.
What did we do before we went back up?
Well, I had to go to the bathroom.
There's a bathroom situation. That got awkward.
I had to go.
I had to go, yeah.
Yeah, and I was blindfolded, so I relied on Alan for the entire thing. He helped me out.
Yeah.
No, he didn't.
No.
But then he put me back in the elevator to mess with me again.
Oh, yeah.
Went to a different floor. I had no idea where we were. What was an unexpected part to the piece was when we finally went outside and you took the blindfold off, I had been blindfolded for about an hour. Yeah. I was not prepared for how bright the sun was going to be in my eyes. It legit took a while. 3 minutes for me to just be able to look around. And then I found out I was around the bees, and my heart started racing a little bit.
Sure did.
And Brian, sweet Brian from Bees in the D, helped calm me down.
Yeah, it was good. It was good. You did great in the end. Are you still afraid of bees?
I would say my phobia is not over. I don't love bees.
You made progress that day. I'll tell you that. Honestly, I wasn't sure we'd be able to get you next to the hives. And we got you there. You held them. You did a good job. And again, I'm not thrilled about it because I wanted more of a freak out, but I am happy for you on a human level.
Wait, you wanted me to be more frightened, more scared?
Yeah, I absolutely did.
Would a heart attack have sufficed? I
should mention that I texted your wife beforehand, and I was like, hey, what level is his fear? You know what I mean? I don't really want to,
It ain't low.
And she's like, you're good. She gave us
Really?
the okay. What do you mean? Yeah, she gave us the okay. She said, great.
I feel like I want to talk to her about this.
Go for it. So, yeah.
The piece, by the way, it's uploaded on YouTube. It's uploaded on the Fox Local app, so you can go ahead and watch the whole thing. It's in the Weatherboys section. And it will be right next to this podcast with our guest today. We are very excited.
Look at this, royalty.
To welcome, royalty is almost an understatement for what we have today. We are welcoming on the podcast today the one and only Chuck Gaidica, a voice, a face that has been part of Detroit's daily life for decades. For 27 years, Chuck served as chief meteorologist at WDIV Local 4, guiding viewers through Michigan's toughest storms and most memorable weather events. He became more than just a forecaster. He was a trusted presence in people's homes. But what we love about him is that his story does not stop at broadcasting. He's also a husband, a father of 5, a grandfather. After leaving television full-time, he embraced a new chapter as a pastor, motivational speaker, and a podcast host himself. His career has spanned science, storytelling, and faith with a common thread of helping people find calm and perspective, whether in the middle of a blizzard or the challenge of everyday life. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the Weatherboys podcast, the one and only Chuck Gaidica.
Hey,
Whoa, look at that.
Hey,
What
Chuck,
a
how you
buildup.
doing, man?
I am doing great. You left out 5 years at WJBK.
Oh, don't you worry.
Oh,
We've
it's
got
all
your
in
whole
there.
resume
Oh, yeah.
here.
We don't want to give it away all at once.
I was here, boys.
1982 to 1987. Is
Now,
that right?
Yeah.
And
There
it took me, I think, 6 years to stop getting lost in this labyrinth of a building. At what point in your 5 years did you stop getting lost?
Well, when I was here, WWJ was down the hall at the other end of the hall. So the coffee machines and the vending machines, we would share them. So you kind of learn that long hall was on the way to radio, which I never really went down unless I was subbing for somebody. And then the newsroom was the newsroom. I think a different layout than what you guys have now for sure. And every once in a while you'd be invited up to the GM's office, and he was up in the... There's a panel, like a walnut panel or oak panel.
Oh,
room
yeah,
up there?
The oak room.
The oak room.
The oak room.
Yes.
Okay. But that was his office.
Oh,
and
my-
at noon or 1 o'clock, you'd be invited to the GM's office. Now you're talking early 80s. And the first thing he would say is, "So do you want a scotch or something?" And I'd be like, "What?" And he'd open up the wall and there was like a bar.
That's fantastic.
And I'm thinking, this is a test. I mean, even in the early 80s, you're like, you just want to see if I'm drinking while I'm coming to work? Because I don't recall what the meeting was for,
He's like, we're talking about your contract. And you're like, then yes, I would like one.
And can you take 2, please? No, but you hear all those stories. Not about it, like I've heard sort of from the old timey stagehands who are like they've been in TV for a long time, and I never quite know which part of their story is a joke and which part is real, because they'll tell stories about individuals with vodka, liquor, whiskey in this drawer, that drawer, and it was a different time.
There
back
were
in
a
the day.
few stories here. There was a guard. I think back in the day they were allowed to be armed. And there was some couple here that was caught out in the car making out or something, and he started shooting at the car when they took off. Oh, yeah. Nobody was injured in this event. There was that story.
Just because he saw them.
Was he
naked
jealous?
in the car?
What was it? Yeah.
Was it his wife?
Was it his wife? I don't know. All I know is that shots rang out, and after that point, the guards didn't have guns.
They said,
didn't.
okay.
No more.
Yeah.
So when your career started, because I feel like Anchorman, the movie, sets this representation of what anchoring was like. What was that in the 70s? But you were a bit after that.
81 to 80. This was I had been in Evansville, Indiana for 9 months, Cape Girardeau, Missouri, 3.5 months, Little Rock, Arkansas, 1.5 years, and then Detroit. So by the time I got here at JBK, I was 23 and a half. I mean, in my early career was like,
Was that how the business was early in the day? Did the evening anchor? I mean, there's all the stories of Bill Bonds and all those the olden days where it was a scotch with the nightly news. Was that a little past your time?
I never saw that because I was not at that station, but here, no, I never saw that here. Although I know that we had kind of a wild anchor guy and a sportscaster who both got along, and I heard that. There was rumors.
There's some stories.
There were swim parties on the weekend. They were both single guys, and I don't know. But I was going home to Susan, and we were having kids already by the time we got here. Susan was 6 months pregnant when we moved to Detroit. God love her, because, that was a big deal.
Yeah. Now, where did you move from?
We were in Little Rock, Arkansas.
In Little Rock. Oh, from all the way.
Yeah,
Okay, that
yeah.
was from. Okay.
But this was still early 80s, and I grew up in Chicago, and my hero was John Coleman, who was doing ABC in Chicago and was doing Good Morning America, and I met him at an AMS, American Meteorological Society convention. So I'm sitting next to my idol.
Sure.
And I'm a kid. I mean, I'm just, And he says, so where are you from? And I tell him, and he said, give me your card. He said, I'm working on something that, I may want to share with you sometime. So the next year I come back, and he's there again. So I thought, well, I'll go walk up and say hi. And he said, let me grab a cocktail napkin. And he starts sketching all these little rectangles and lines. And he said, I'm creating this 24-hour-a-day weather channel. And he said, I'd like to know if you'd like to join us. I said, where? He said, Atlanta. I said, 24 hours? Who wants to watch weather 24 hours a day? Right?
Nobody's going to want that.
And so he offered me the morning slot opposite him on Good Morning America, but they had no money. So he said, I can either pay for your moving or I can pay for, and the salary wasn't awful compared to what I was making in Little Rock, but Susan was pregnant. I said, John, I need security. I need benefits.
Wait, you said the morning spot
on the Weather Channel.
The Weather Channel.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, main lead morning guy on the Weather Channel, but it was opposite him because he was pouring all of his personal wealth into this idea, which eventually he needed a partner, and then they scammed him out of everything, and he wound up owning none of it. It was sad.
So the Weather Channel, I think, is what started this weather revolution, where it was you could just get the weather from the weather guy on the local news. Then the Weather Channel comes along. The business, this is one of the topics I wanted to dig into even later, but hey, we're here right now. The evolution of technology in weather.
Yeah.
You've seen a lot of this through your career.
Oh, yeah. I mean, at the beginning, it was literally magnetic boards, even at the network. Because when I was here, so maybe around 83, 84, CBS called. We were CBS back in the day, and they said, would you like to substitute on the CBS Morning News? And I'm like, sure. So I'm either doing it from here or flying to New York. Got to work with, Bill Curtis and Diane Sawyer and tons of people. And Maria Shriver, Bill Schieffer. I mean, just crazy names. And I'm still a kid.
Yeah,
I'm still in my mid-20s, early
That
mid-20s.
is a kid, man.
You're like almost young enough to not know how crazy this is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, this was really interesting to me of what was going on, and I'm watching by osmosis. I'm an interloper at these places, and I'm just there. And so, for me, my early career, watching technology evolve, but even there, it was a board with magnets, and sometimes they'd have the special magnets that if you hit it with the right camera, they vibrated like the sun was moving.
Okay, sure.
Yeah. And it wasn't chalk. It wasn't the Sonny Elliott thing, but it was a marker, dry erase marker. And when I was in Little Rock, Arkansas, prior to Detroit, I got the job interview, and the GM says to me, the weather guy here draws a cartoon character every night. And I said, yeah, I know. A guy named Gusty, a little cartoon. Every day Gusty was jogging or he had sunglasses on, and they said, can you draw? So I grabbed his cocktail napkin, and I can sketch Fred Flintstone. So I sketched Fred Flintstone, and I hand it back. You're our guy.
Yeah.
That's it. That's it. We
What
didn't talk
a
money.
fantastic! You drew a cartoon.
Isn't that wild?
My gosh!
And then he's like, but you can't do that on air because that's copywritten. So come up with
Every
something
day
else.
I did well, here's why I wanted to draw Gusty. And he told me, which confirmed it. He said, we have a 9-year wait for Gusty. In other words, if you're going to have a baby, you mail in the name now in an envelope. And on average, because I had boxes of these envelopes in my office, he said, you reach in, you close your eyes, pick one out. I would pick out one 3 times a day. He said there's basically a 9-year wait for somebody's name to get picked. So Gusty is way more popular than the weather guy. And I said, you think I'm going to kill Gusty as the new weather guy? There's no way.
Sure.
So I did Gusty. And when I left in 82, that's when they killed off Gusty.
Oh,
man.
So I've gone from cartoon character, but I was still doing it. They had flown to New York and copied John Coleman's weather experience from Good Morning America. So I was working in green screen, except for the little fake door that I slid open every night and drew Gusty.
Sure.
So I saw the technology move from, we had printed, fax copies.
Die
of,
fax, right?
Die fax. Yeah, that machine. Yeah.
and then I had radar. But actually, the original radar I was using, even in Little Rock, was an old Air Force radar on a tube screen, and they would bring a camera in and they would shoot it and then project it either behind me or in a monitor. So, I mean, it started out really wild.
And what did satellite look like?
Yeah, satellite was printed as well,
Yeah.
and we would put it on a table and we would shoot it. with a camera, a still camera, and then we would still it off, and we could make it appear behind us. Chroma key was just coming in, so I saw that happen.
So you had one image. You had one image of satellite to work with. When you say you shot it with a camera.
One image of that, maybe a radar if it was important, and then I would have the map where I would draw, the cold front's coming and the wind is shifting, and you do all this stuff.
Like I knew all of that, but like hearing you say it makes it feel more real. And then I'm like, well, how would you tell a compelling story? And yet you did, and you could. Like that's such, from a meteorological standpoint, that's nothing that you had.
And don't forget, it's all old data. I mean, we're sort of like, oh my gosh, there's a delay on the radar on my phone app, 5 minutes or something. This was hours,
But that was something that you leaned into and you were so good at, Chuck, is you had personality. And back in the day, not all the meteorologists on TV had personalities. It was very dry science. Was that something you intentionally did?
It was kind of either or, right? It was either sunny on one end or you'd have somebody real dry. So growing up in Chicago, I saw John Coleman, who he stood on his head on the Marina Towers, one day when he got the forecast wrong.
Yeah, I remember that story.
Crazy.
He said, he came on it.
Literally.
Yeah.
He did.
I'll tell a story. You tell me if this is what you heard too. Well, I should do the opposite. But
go ahead. You tell us.
He rushed on air, Alan. He rushed on air and he said, I was just watching the other channel and they said it's going to rain and it's not going to rain. And if I'm wrong, I'll stand on my head on TV.
Yep.
And he was wrong.
He was wrong.
Now, was he the kind of guy who thought that he was right, or was it just a shtick?
That's a good question.
A thing?
Because he did have shtick, but he also took the craft of forecasting very much to heart. And so there was that, but he was a guy of shtick, and he knew it, and he had a commanding presence, and he had a fun factor. So there was that. I grew up with him, and then there was a guy at BBM in Chicago named John Coughlin and Harry Volkman, two guys who were just, huge. Talk about royalty in Chicago for TV weather guys. And one guy wore a carnation every day because he visited schools. Well, I didn't want to wear the carnation. By that time, wearing a carnation was kind of goofy. But I thought when I got here, I'm going to go visit every school that I can. And that became my thing, which in turn that, and almost immediately, I got here probably June of 82, and by September, I was already doing weather for Harper and Gannon on the morning show on WNIC, and eventually I wound up hosting the show after they left. But I'm sure that helped build my name ID because in the day, WJBK was fifth in the market. It was Channel 7, Channel 4, cartoons, Channel 2. And that's why they were changing the team. I was the first guy they brought in. Then they brought in Freddie McLeod from Cleveland to do sports, Catherine Adams from Cleveland, and then we still had Joe Glover as an anchor, and then they switched that. And by that time, the ratings were changed.
And those school visits are fun. They're enriching. They lighten you up. But it is still work and effort to do all that stuff in addition to your actual job. And I almost wonder if nowadays it's even smarter because then TV was the thing that everybody watched, and now kids.
I tried.
Are they, at all?
I tried to copy a lot of your stuff, Chuck. But I tried to copy this.
You went by Chuck Gaidica for the first couple of years. It was really awkward.
But I did get checks.
That was good.
It was nice.
Right.
When I first started, that's one thing I tried to do is I wanted to go to as many schools as I could for the exact same reason, and it is exhausting. So how did you manage it?
Well, I would say I could do your visit at 1 o'clock after lunch, and I would say you need to get the school as many classrooms as you want in one place at one time because I can't come back again. I was getting so many requests. I said, if I see 3rd and 4th grade, I can't come back and see 6th and 7th. So it would turn into a school assembly. Don't forget to watch at 4, 5, and 6, or whichever station number was appropriate. And so that was a huge deal because they brought parents along. And don't forget, this is one of the things that's changed, of course, is that TV set was in the kitchen on the counter. Not that it isn't now, but it was in the family room, maybe more in bedrooms than it is now. It was a very intimate connection to a time when there were still big anchors at the network, big anchors locally, reasons to watch. You did watch Johnny Carson at night. I mean, you had Cheers and you had Cosby, and it was just the perfect time for me to come into the business.
Yeah, nowadays, those photos would be on Facebook 30 seconds later.
Yes.
So why need to watch? I've already seen it. It's on Instagram and it's on Facebook.
Or we're going live.
Yeah, we've already shared it. One time I went to a school. I got there like 10 o'clock. And I worked the morning show, so I was on the air for 5 hours, got off the air, went to the school, got there at 10 o'clock. They said, the principal came out. She said, we're so excited to have you here. This is going to be so great. I had my bag of stuff for my presentation, and I said, where am I going? She said, okay, well, the first group is going to be from 10 to 11, and you're going to be in the gym. And then the second group is going to be from 11 to 12. Now, then we'll have a 30-minute break for lunch, and then we'll go 1 to 2, 2 to 3, till 4 o'clock. I looked at her. I was like, wait, what? She's like, yeah, we've got it all scheduled. Everybody, all the different classes, so you can kind of cater the presentation to the age group. I was like, I'm here for one talk. I was stuck there for 6 hours. 6 hours of talking to these kids.
That probably happened in some degree to me, and that's when I said you've got to get the whole group together.
Yeah.
And to be fair, now kids have grown up, obviously, and they've had their own kids. And I will get recognized, and someone will say, and I'd say at least 50% of the time, I don't remember that kid, but I remember the school. You know, remember when you were in Shelby in '84?
Yep.
I'm like, actually, I kind of do. Or, you know, I was the kid that asked you what color was your underwear. I remember that one.
Yeah, for sure.
So, you know, it's kind of fun.
Chuck,
It's a special time, man.
That happened to us with our last summer intern. Do you remember this?
Asked us the underwear color?
No.
What? I don't know if we should tell that story if
Lord.
it happened.
All right, we got a date with HR after this thing gets posted. No, our most recent weather intern said to Alan and I grew up watching you guys.
Oh, yeah.
And we said, there's no way you grew up watching us.
Chuck, we're young. We're barely 40.
Yeah. He said,
yeah.
Wait, how old
It's
are
like,
you?
wait, what?
19. 19. You do the math, you're like, oh my
yeah.
God, you were 7.
Isn't it wild?
Yeah. That's crazy. That puts it in
But it's a high compliment. That's
It
the
is.
way I always viewed those things, and I still do because it still happens. And part of that then became, you know, Blue Cross is, you know, I'm a spokesperson at the time for Medicare Advantage. I wasn't even Medicare age yet, so I became really big in the 65+ demo.
Yeah,
you know.
stop stealing our demo, okay, Chuck?
Yeah. Which,
For
you
goodness
know,
sake.
that's a great discussion for this too, is what is a demo now? You know, what is
Sure,
the age group?
yeah.
Because it's no longer 25 to 54. It's shifted, and I don't think that all stations are paying attention to that.
Yeah, and it shifted. It's like online, on Facebook, we can look at analytics.
Yeah.
And we can see who interacts with our content. And it's like, do you try to cater to that? Do you just continue to be authentically you and let whoever comes? Does any of that matter anyways?
Right.
It is a talk.
Yeah, I hate that part of it. I love that there is a sales department and a promotions department. And obviously nowadays, like, they want you to do all of it, right?
Sure.
And Derek, you do a great job of it. Like social media wise, you know, you're good at posting, you're good at looking. I just get too in my head. I want to, maybe it's an excuse for me being lazy, but I just want to not do that stuff at all.
Well,
So-
it's a question of productivity. Like, you know, school visits, do in the morning, then trying to sleep, having a family. You know, you start asking questions. Is this all worth it? And to some extent, the answer is yes. It's sadly yes, maybe.
Yeah. Now I know you as mostly the chief, the night. Were you
I always worked
mornings?
nights.
It was always mornings.
Well, the first, I always worked nights, and then my very first job, I was Monday through Friday weather nights, and then I was also the Sunday night news anchor, and then that was just because it was Sunday nights, and it was kind of a blow-off half-hour show thing.
But you work 6 days a week?
Yeah, but I would just go in for one show, and it was kind of a rip and read, plus here's the CBS feed, you know, and we picked some national stories. So there was that, and I had cut my teeth back in at Southern Illinois University. I was anchoring weekends as a news anchor. So for me, that was not a big deal. And then, I think I was nights all throughout. Cape Girardeau, I was only there 3.5 months. But I came in only doing the 5 because the guy I was there hired to replace was gradually phasing out. And then they'd send me chasing tornadoes or something. And then so the only time I did mornings was either here when I was doing CBS Morning News for 2 years. And then when I got to DIV, I was substituting for Al Roker on the Weekend Today show for about 2 years as well. Yeah.
As somebody, it's one of my biggest admirations of you, but you're a man who knows his priorities, and family is so high on your list.
Yeah.
You 5 kids?
5 kids.
5 kids.
And spouses and grandkids. Yeah.
How did you juggle this career with that? Because I find it tricky, and he's got 3 young ones, and I got 2 young ones, and I want to be coach.
Yeah.
I want to be there when they get off the bus. How do you balance it?
So I was off weekends typically. So that's one thing. The other thing was dinner always waited until 7 o'clock until I got home. So short of tornadoes, possibilities, and snowstorms, I was home for dinner every single night that I could be, or I was at the dance recital or whatever happened in between. And I got so good at it that I could show up at a dance recital in the middle of January and I'd be between everybody else, and I could actually nod to the music, and nobody knew I was napping, and then okay, she's on now. Oh, okay, there she is. Because the rest of it was like, I don't know.
Sure.
So, but every night I was home, and we made that a point to say every night we are together for dinner, and I think that was a huge thing, and our kids remember it. They know, and my life has always been later because, to your question, I was always working the late shift. So I never really got to bed until 1. I was blessed that I could go to sleep. Like, not right away, but I'd get home, do a radio feed for the next morning or do it from the station, get home, unwind, maybe have a little snack, and then I'd be out.
5 kids. What's that age range?
Right now, they're from 43 down to 29.
Okay, so it's 14 years.
Yeah, 14 years. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So every third year, you guys were...
We had a little bit of a break. The first 3 came along, and then the other 2. So eventually the older 3 decided they wanted to call themselves TOTS, T-O-T-S, the original 3.
I'm one of 5 too. And it's to say there's like an 8-year gap between the first 3 and the second 2.
Yeah, so ours is not that big, but then when the older kids said they're going to do that, and they were teasing the 2 young ones, we're going to get shirts and the whole thing. Right. And the young one said, no, we're TOTS as well. We're the other 2. So then that whole thing went away.
There you go.
But it was kind of curious because even, today 5 is huge, but even back when we had 5 and they look, like the Brady Bunch, I'd get questions like, same wife? Like, yeah, what do you want?
Right.
Same wife.
Right.
Yeah. It's I don't know. I don't relate to that one.
It's almost that angers them. Like, it's like, why are you mad about this?
Right.
I'm just doing my thing over here.
But then kids that come from families of 5 always want big families too. Do your kids, is that something that they want?
One of them has 3. I've got 2 of our kids have 2, and I'm told, and our youngest just got engaged for next October. So I'm told, we've got 8 grandkids. I'm told get ready for a dozen, probably.
Yeah, that's about right.
I look forward to being a grandpa. I cannot wait.
It's a great season.
Yeah.
It is a great season because, you hear all that stuff. Oh, yeah, they come over and then you can send them home. No, not so much. They spend a lot of nights at the house. But you get to the point where, well, here it is. It's right here. If a 2-year-old walked up to me and said they want a Buick, I'd be like, here you go. Just go get it. I know you can't drive. You don't like that color bike?
Sure.
Yeah, well, now Grandpa, and I'm Papo. I'm not Grandpa, actually. I'm Papo and Nan.
So what happened was the first kid couldn't pronounce it, and it came up with Papo and Nan, and that's how it stuck forever, because that's how it goes in my family.
Well, I got Papo. It was given to me. I'm not Greek. We have no Greek blood, but it sounded great. And then by default, when you accept it, this is a great lesson. When you accept Nanny, Nana, and Nan now, because as they get a little older, it's just not cool to say Nanny.
Sure.
When you take that, now everybody else has to become Grandma and Grandpa. So you do kind of trump everybody.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
You want to tell them your goal when you're a grandpa?
Well, I want to, I don't know. Well, there's some version of this. Correct me if I'm wrong, what I want in the future. I want them all to live close enough to where I can just get one of those buses, like not a big real bus, but like the mini-sized bus, and just drive all the grandkids to school.
Like an actual school bus?
Like an actual school bus. I just want to, it just sounds so delightful. I want to be there. I want to see, And people make the joke about it's great because you can be there and then leave them and get breaks, and I kind of look forward to that.
Well, it is a nice advantage in a way, but then you also know, Susan would call me at the station. One of the kids fell out of a tree, and I'm rushing them to the ER, and I'd be like, is there blood spurting out? No, okay, everything will be all right. Now, on my watch, I'd wrap a grandkid in bubble wrap. I mean, no way. Can they fall? Can they not be taken care of?
You're more gentle with your grandkids than your kids.
Oh, and more watchful.
Oh, okay. Okay.
My grandma, my wife's mom won't let my kids run because she says it's too dangerous. Don't run. Don't stop running. They're outside in the grass. Don't run.
You're 9 and 7-year-old?
Yeah, right? She doesn't like when they run. And if they have a sucker in their mouth, they can barely even walk.
It's a thing. You'll see.
That is so interesting. I guess that would make sense because I definitely would. Like, I let my kids go wild. And then when I watch then one day Hadley was over.
Oh yeah.
I do have a different approach because I can't bring your kid to you with a broken leg.
Yeah, that's impossible.
My kid can. That's fine.
Yeah.
It's not the goal, but
is part of it, Chuck, because I think when in this business, in our industry, there is a lot of sacrifice when it comes to time.
Yeah.
Because of the hours. I mean, the news is on when the news is on. You can't ask your boss, hey, any chance we can go on at 2 today? It's more convenient for me. And so a lot of it does kind of come down to the spouse. And your wife is an amazing woman. Did that help having somebody
at home? And it helped that we were blessed that she could be at home as a stay-at-home mom. Although she did teach mom tot classes as a teacher for 10 plus years.
The original 3?
They would go along, but she was a teacher to, other
I was making
tots.
a dumb joke of mom
I got you. Okay. But actually, that's true. They were in the class.
Original 3,
They were in the class all the time. So we were blessed there that she was the anchor holding things down. So the dinner thing was important. And then I did a live shot. It probably was when I was here. And it was a Friday afternoon kind of a weather thing. And it was an old timer in his basement with trains everywhere. They got the fake mountains and the trees and the whole thing. So he's so proud of this. And we're getting close up and we're watching, here comes the CSX. And it's, it was really cool stuff, the whole basement. So during a commercial break, I sit next to him and I said, this is really cool. I said, do you have any advice for a young dad? He said, I'll tell you what, you need to make your house so inviting that your kids and their friends will always want to be at your house. I went home and I said to Susan, we're building a pool. She said, what are you talking about? And we're getting a pool table. And then when we had, in recent life, in the past 10 to 15 years, we had downsized out of a house, big house, went into a condo, which was a nice, good-sized condo, but it was still a condo. And eventually, about 3 years ago, I came home and I said, we need a house again with a big yard. She said, don't be dumb. We're not moving. Don't even, I said, no, I'm telling you. We need a house with a big yard because of all these grandkids that are coming along. So we've actually gone the other way now. And so it's been a joy, but all of that stuff was centered around kids.
Sure.
And I think you don't really think that they are aware of it when you're doing it, but eventually you're having a glass of wine with your adult child at Christmas or something, and it comes up, and that's really pretty cool.
Oh, it is.
She'll probably never remember this, but I will never forget it. Your wife, this was at our colleague Jessica Starr's memorial.
Oh, yeah.
I was talking to her about I think it was actually one of our trips together, Alan.
Sure.
We did family vacations together for a while. And she asked me, she said, what went wrong? And I was like, why? And she said, it's the things that go wrong on vacation that are the memories you always remember.
Yeah, she does say that. Yeah.
And I said, it blew my mind, because then I was like, you're totally right, because I shoot back to our trips.
Oh, yeah.
I think about the kid falling out of the wagon.
Oh, yeah.
I think about Alan and I taking all 5 kids from 1 to 3 years old down to Lake Michigan, and half of them running into the lake without us knowing what we're... It's the things that go wrong.
Right. You're not going to mention the TV falling on the other child?
Oh, man.
TV fell on my son.
Yeah.
He loves that story to this day. But yeah, it was such an insightful thing.
Yeah, and it's true. When you think about it, all the great vacations you have where things go right, you're like, oh, that was a great trip. Why? I don't know. Hilton Head was great.
Yeah,
sure. Yeah.
The most recent one, my son fell off of a ladder, broke his arm on vacation. We didn't know about it for 3 days, so we just kept having our vacation.
Oh, yeah.
Right. And then we came home and we were like, we should probably get that checked out. Oh, fracture in the arm. Cool. I would like to share, this is another thing that I will never forget, you will never remember, our very first time meeting.
The first time. That was not at the station at WDIV, though.
If you can remember it, I will give you every dollar I win in the Powerball tonight.
I don't recall it.
Yeah, you wouldn't. And I don't blame you.
So sorry.
How old?
Let me back it up. So college of summer. So this was between my junior year and senior year. So you had an intern named Amanda Greer. I'm sure you had a lot of interns.
Yeah. She's in Kansas City now.
She sure is.
Yeah.
So Amanda and I were friends. We went to high school together. We went to college together. Amanda knew I wanted to do TV. And Amanda knew that you were a guy that I looked up to. So during college summers, I worked at the Kroger distribution warehouse. I'd get there at 6 o'clock. I'd work till 6 p.m. I would be picking orders for Kroger stores, wearing gym shorts, a cut-off white T-shirt that would get just dirty as sin every day.
And I noticed your biceps. You were ripped.
That was massive.
Yeah, that
so
was a V thing, though.
I work a full shift, and I'm driving home, and I get a text from Amanda that says, don't you live in Brookwood Estate subdivision? Chuck is going live there because Lisa Brewer was your producer, and Chuck is going live in your neighborhood. I'm with him if you want to come meet him. And I thought to myself, I need to go right now. Don't even go home, shower. Don't change. I go right to the Channel 4 truck. I find Amanda. Amanda goes, oh, I'm going to introduce you to Chuck. I could not have looked more disgusting, sweaty,
you hillbilly.
dirty
trash, man.
And I go, I don't know what I was thinking. And that's when the very first time I met you, I'm sure your thought of me was, who is this guy? And he wants to go into TV?
Not really. I never had that thought. But, now that tells you that the stuff that goes wrong, you remember. I don't remember anything going wrong.
Right.
So, I'll say the same thing I say to everybody now who's, remember back in 92? I'm like, was I nice to you?
Yeah.
As long as I was.
You were very
all that
nice.
matters.
You were very nice.
Yeah.
I did reach out to a friend of yours.
Okay.
A friend of ours, and asked, I said, can you tell me any embarrassing Chuck stories?
Yeah.
And it should surprise you very little that Paul Gross does not. his story. So I reached out to Paul. I said, you got to give me something. Well, did he chew loud in the weather office?
Yeah.
Did he always have like a strawberry lemonade every day? And Paul said no, but ask him about the viewer that called him and very seriously asked if you would buy him a new front porch.
Oh, yeah, I remember that, but I don't remember the details of that. There were a number of calls that would come in. Yeah, like that. And, Paul and I were kind of tethered at the hip, so he would know anything that... I probably pulled more pranks and did stuff to Paul than he ever did to me.
Yeah, that sounds right.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
I would never have viewed you as a prankster. That's delightful.
You want to hear the famous one?
Yeah, let me hear them all. Yeah.
So Paul is all geeked up. Well, that's every day. Paul was geeked up. And he is, I love him. I love him.
We all love him.
Yeah. And he was so excited that he was he was producing a documentary on D-Day, Forecast Overlord. Meteorology was a huge part of this. And it still lives. DIV still plays it.
Yeah.
So, I'm going to host it. He's producing, and he says, I am going to get Walter Cronkite, who's now retired and has an office on West 57th in New York. I'm going to get Cronkite. I said, Paul, we're NBC, he's CBS, I don't know. Well, it's Paul. So he's like,
He's determined.
Yeah, it's like, working for the carpet guys. You're getting the sale, right?
Oh, yeah.
So he's in there, and he gets the interview. So he's going to fly to New York. So I'm down in the newsroom one day, and I said to one of the female producers, I said, do me a favor. Just pick up the phone and dial the weather office number. And when Paul answers, say, identify yourself as Walter Cronkite's secretary. And then hold for Mr. Cronkite. Because I knew Paul would just start sweating.
Oh, yeah.
So she does it, hold for Mr. Cronkite. And I go, hello, Paul, this is Walter Cronkite. And he's into it at the beginning. And then I just start cracking up. And I walked in the weather office, and he was just beside himself. But it wasn't that he was a gullible man or is.
Sure.
It's just that, when you get to know somebody so well and what button to push, it was just a lot of fun. So I never really I'd get a coffee in the afternoon out of the machine. I mean, I was pretty low maintenance.
He didn't have anything. He kept giving me weather stories that were actually normal things. He's like, oh, ask him about the time that we cut in for a tornado and everybody got mad. I was like, Paul, everybody.
Right. That's, But that's a rite of passage.
He's such a sweet man.
Yeah, he is.
So your transition, so you were at WDIV 27 years.
Yep, 5 years, then 27 there full-time, and then I went back for 2 years for their morning show.
You retire, and then very Godfather, when you think you're out, they pull you back in.
It is like the mafia.
Sure.
Yeah, I think.
So life outside of TV for you, what's that like?
So life kind of works in spurts now professionally, so I'm doing some professional speaking. I still work in and around churches. I wound up coming back to the Catholic Church, which was the church of my youth. So that took place about, maybe it's 4 years now, 3 years ago. So obviously I can't be a priest. But when I left television news, I went on staff at a large non-denominational church, which is where the Jessica Starr Memorial was, although I had left already.
Right.
And what a sad story that was. But it was great. It was part of the journey. I left when I was in my mid-50s, kind of at the top of my game. But I had started a master's in ministry and leadership at age 50, part-time, out of Grand Rapids Cornerstone University. And I was able to do it by extension, or they would send a professor to Troy, and I'm doing this while working. And so it took me 4 years part-time, and then I had 4-level credits.
They sent a professor to Troy? Surely not just for you.
No, not for me. I mean, for a group of us, but still.
Oh, my goodness.
But it still wasn't a big group of us. But that was when they thought, that's the way you would do it. So I took a couple classes that way. And then I had 4 master level credits to get. And I looked at their online catalog, and I saw this one. It said, live and study in the Holy Land. And so I went and asked my general manager. I said, I need a sabbatical. She said, when? I said, May. And, that's... in our business,
Sweeps?
May, it's kind of like,
oh, sure.
What?
Yeah.
And she said, okay, is this important to you? And I said, it is. So it's the only time I can go, and this is the only time they do it. So she said, yes. So I lived in Israel for 3 weeks, Jordan for a week, studied for my master's. So I got this master's at age 54, and then life started, like I had this knock on my heart. And you guys will kind of get it. It's, somebody's coined it as halftime. It's you wake up at some point in your life and you're asking, not so much is this all there is, because I was kind of at the top of my game.
You were.
But I just started asking, is this it? And is this what you want me to do, God? And how else can I use my gifts, in a different way? So that's kind of for everybody's life, yours included, right? It's not always a straight line. And so I did that for a few years, wound up on staff at another church after that. And it's just been a huge adventure. I'm a big adventure guy, but this has been a giant adventure.
That's fantastic. Is that what the second half significance from Pepperdine University?
Yeah.
Is that what that is? That
there's
that looking at the rest of your life as...
There's a book at some point you should read. It's called Halftime, Moving Your Life from Success to Significance. And I read that byline and I thought, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Not that I wasn't significant. And I think if there's a downside to it, sometimes we often feel personally... I'm just a guy. I just sweep floors in the Kroger distribution center. I'm not significant. How could I ever be significant? And I would argue that, we're all significant in God's eyes, right?
Yeah.
So I think a lot of us go through this. I picked up that book at age 42, read it, set it down, came back, read it at 45, and I'm like, that's kind of interesting. It's speaking to me in a different way. Got my master's, and that's kind of late in life to,
Sure.
But I look back in my life, I didn't learn how to be a private pilot till I was 35, didn't get my instrument rating until 38, didn't get a master's until 54. I'm on track to get a PhD when I'm 90. Like, I don't care.
Yes.
So, but this certificate was a group out of Dallas. The author who wrote the book had founded a group called the Halftime Institute to help coach people about getting into this second half, because a lot of us have struggles there. Especially, I now see guys my age who are retiring.
I think that's such an important concept because, like, our culture, and because it's cool when young kids do really cool things, but you see all these lists of, like, Forbes 30 under 30, 20 under 20, and you start to think, well, if I haven't done the thing that I want to do by that point, then I might as well stop. But, no. And it's just a mindset shift, but I think it's an important one.
It is. And it's also a thing that I saw now coming out of COVID, and you guys will appreciate this. So our youngest daughter at 25 was selling bridal in Manhattan for about 4 to 5 years, right out of college. Doing great. And decides she's taking a sabbatical. And it dawned on me, it's no longer halftime. And to be fair, even when I got this V8, I didn't have, maybe I had another half then, if I'm blessed to get that many more Christmas presents. But right now, I don't have another half. The math doesn't work. Sure. And I love math. But in this case, I saw my daughter at 25 take a sabbatical, and I thought, it's no longer halftime. It's quarter time.
Yeah.
25, 50, 75. It's a gig
sure.
economy. You guys may not work for the same station. I didn't for my entire career, although I was blessed to be in one place for a long time. But we kind of swing from branches now, and it's okay.
Yeah.
It's just okay. And I think that's actually healthful.
I think it's healthy to think of it as okay, because it is, especially in a town like Detroit, which is such a blue-collar town. I grew up thinking you get a job and you work there for 40 years and then you can leave.
Right.
And then you're done and you can do whatever you want. Now, my wife is not wired that way. I mean, my wife she wants to travel. She wants to go somewhere every year.
Yeah.
That is why she works, is to go have experiences. I feel like I grew up not that way. But if it's healthy to shift your mind thinking, I can do this now. Why can't I do this now? Just because of some arbitrary thing that somebody else laid out for me that I need to work here for this long, or I need to do this forever, and once I get in, I can never leave. It is changing. It is, and the industry is changing that way too.
Yeah, and experiential travel is like the number one thing, because we're all looking, not just people like me who want to take my whole family somewhere, or we have a place in Florida, come on down. They think we're helping them come down for them.
Right, yeah.
You're coming to be with us, right? So I think that whole idea of experiences, those are the things you'll look back on in your life and say, I'm really glad that it wasn't a new refrigerator that year, that we did something together,
Sure.
Do you think, Chuck, with the way that the TV is now, with everything's going streaming, everything's 24/7, you have to be connected all the time, you have to respond to every Facebook post, and this is, and you are a guy, I know that you took pride, and you did respond to almost every single email that came into you. Now factor that by 10 with Facebook comments. Do you think it would be something you'd be interested in doing at this point, like in this era of television?
That's a good question. I think I would. I think, if people say, do you miss it? I miss the people I worked with, and I miss it, but I'm not sure it exists like it did. So that question of productivity, I'm also a business mind. I've got a bachelor's in business as well, and I think about it in different ways. Like, what's the opportunity cost for me to hire a guy who answers my social media? I mean, I didn't invent that idea. But, that's a thing. But you couldn't do that in this position. The station isn't going to say, we've got $40,000 extra a year for you to have a guy. No, it's not going to happen. So I think it would be a bit more of a stressor. But I get it, and I understand why you need to be in that space. But I can imagine the stresses on you guys for trying to keep up. Kind of like Curly Howard, like, whoop, 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 whoop,
Right, sure, yeah.
It is. I mean, the
There's
weather.
another hoop to jump through.
We started this Weatherboys franchise because it felt like we were just grinding away at weather every day, all day, and it was
weather on the twos from 4 a.m. to 9 a.m. It's like I don't want to complain because I love my job, but at the end of the day, bro, it's a lot of speaking about the same thing.
And there's a burn in creativity where you can just feel it. You're like, I want to do something creative. I mean, I always think about when you were. Was it when you were in Hawaii and you did that shot when you were walking down the beach at sunset with but like you have creative ideas when you have the time to have creative ideas, but it felt like we just weren't getting that. So we said we need to do something that gives us excitement, that makes us happy to come. It gives us a reason to go. Yes, let's go. We got to shoot today, or we got a podcast today with Chuck Gaidica. So sometimes there's a little bit of personal responsibility.
Well, and the adventures, since you both like adventures, that stuff takes the edge off. One of the reasons that I enjoyed not only the jump to JBK, from JBK to DIV, but also the idea of what I could do there was I didn't know that I would eventually have, they launched my own show once a week on Saturday nights. Well, that lasted about 4 months, and then they came to me and said, would you like to audition for the lottery show to be the host of the Michigan Lottery Game Show? And I'm thinking, maybe. So I auditioned 3 times for this thing. And they'd hand me copy, like I'd hand you a piece of copy. And you guys would both, because it's what you do, right? You're great at what you do. You'd look at it, you'd set it down, and you'd deliver the copy. And they're watching closed circuit in the general manager's office, and they thought they were feeding me the stuff at home the night before. They said, he can't ad-lib that. I was like, that's what he does.
Yes.
He just goes out, he doesn't use a teleprompter. So finally, on the 3rd audition, I said to the GM at the time, if they want me, fine. If they're flying people from Chicago and Cleveland. I said, if they want me, it's great. And if not, I'm okay. And he said, he pulled me into his space, which was very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And he said to me, listen, if you do this show, he said, they've offered it to you. You're going to get the show. You'll be hosting weekly. You're going to be giving away a car, a cruise, and $50,000 every week to somebody in one of the 8 TV markets in Michigan. And when they say they like you, and I research your name, and they say you are the guy they like, I'm going to have to pay you more money on top of the fact you're going to get paid. I'd take the job if I were you. And I said, okay.
Go ahead and finish.
And then I took the job, and I thought it'd be a year, and it turned out to be 12 years. But it was another creative thing that on Friday afternoons, I'd go down, I'd meet the contestants, do a show in half an hour in the can.
It gives you life. Gives you life.
I listened to Smart List with Jason Bateman and the guys, and Jason Bateman talks about sexy indifference. So like when it comes to acting and getting jobs and how you can get really stressed about auditioning all the time. And like that was sexy indifference. Yeah. What you just described, you know what I mean? Like how did you always have that? Like was that, at what point in your career was that? Asking for Derek, how do you get sexy indifference?
Well, I don't know that I was considering it sexy and different, but it was different. And I was doing things like the Hawaii trip. That was an expedition, 10 days with Dr. Bob Ballard, who discovered the Titanic. Then I went with him to the rainforest in Peru and lived in the Amazon for 10 days. So that was, I would use the word sexy in the way that it's wildly different.
Right. But my fault, I mumbled. Sexy indifference. Like
okay.
You could have taken the job or left it. Like you were so confident in who you are and where you are. Like most people would say, give me a 4th interview, a 5th. I'll interview 48 times. You're like,
I wasn't being pompous, and I don't think it was interpreted that way. Like it was
it doesn't sound like it at all.
But it was just, I thought, I didn't live for it. But then once I got it, I started getting calls, and I get a call from Barry Enright Productions. Hey, we're in Hollywood, and we're relaunching Joker's Wild, and we're looking for a new host. Would you send us a tape? And I'm like, I don't, I didn't really aspire to be a game show host. I guess I could do it. Tell me about it. Well, you only record 32 weeks out of the year. I said, what's the security to this? Well, you'd have to 16 weeks. I said, well, I've got kids, and I don't know about that. And I go through the whole litany of lists where I'm trying to be sexy and different.
Yeah.
And I said, well, I don't know. Like, what would it pay? She's like, $4 million a year. I said, well, where do you want that tape? and then they didn't. I never got a call back. But then they hired, who was it? A guy named Bill Cullen. And he had like really thick glasses. Well, what they did is they deferred to the safe game show guy who they'd always used because they knew he could get some ratings or whatever. So it was kind of cute. But, after that, it was like, I didn't,
And then they're like, hey, we've got another show called Wheel of Fortune. Would you be interested maybe?
I interviewed Sajak. I flew out there and interviewed Sajak in Vanna. He was an old weather guy. And I got got to know him a little bit. He was in Nashville. And he was very pensive. And he walked to the window of his office and he looked out and he went, I only work 30 weeks out of the year, and then the rest of the year I'm off, and I don't get to do anything else. And he said, I don't know. And he was really kind of down about it. And just like your reaction, I'm like, 30. I could garden for 20 weeks. I mean, and the checks keep coming.
Yes.
Like, what are you talking about? So God bless him. He had a great career.
There's a lot of Letterman was a meteorologist or a weather guy.
Yeah.
There's a lot of weather guys that went on to do that.
Sure.
Maybe that could be us, Alan.
Yeah, sure. Why not? $4 million a year. Twist my arm.
Don't
I
forget,
guess
that
so.
was back in the day.
No,
That
we're
was
doing
back-
it. We're dare to dream, Chuck. Dare
all
to
right.
dream.
Last thing I want to talk to you about, Chuck, because I know you got to go and we've kept you here far too long. Cuddle alerts.
Yes, sir.
Where'd that come from?
So I was in Little Rock, Arkansas, where the winter gets grayish brown on the grass, and maybe if you get flurries, they send kids home from school, literally, because they had no snow removal equipment. And I'm sitting around bored as a gourd because I grew up in Chicago with, 8-foot drifts and blizzards.
Sure.
And I'm thinking, I got to do. So I came up with Cuddle Alert. So I launched it there. So then when I came to JBK, they said, what can we borrow from where you had been in your career? So they pirated a promo that was a mispronounce of my last name.
Yeah.
With a clapboard, an old-fashioned clapboard.
We did that promo for a while around here with other people too.
Okay.
Yeah, I know Dina had it. Luderman had it.
Okay.
It's a funny idea.
It's a great idea, and it got little kids saying, it's Gaidica, Gaidica, right? I'm like, yeah. So we did that, and I brought Cuddle Alert here, and we started doing it here at JBK. And then when I got to DIV, all of a sudden some guys approached me and said, we want to be in partnership with you and create T-shirts and swag and stuff. And I said, what do you mean you want to be? Well, we're already doing this, and they send me a bunch of stuff. They had filed a patent in D.C., and they lied that they had invented it. And I'm at the edge. I had trademarked it. After that, I trademarked it. Service marked it, actually, is what it was. But these guys said they had started it, and here's when they started it. And I'm racking my brain like, I did this back in JBK days. So I am in Channel 4's control room. One day, I'm racking my brain, and I look at the glass window wall where the directors were sitting, and there's the Channel 2 logoed Cuddle Alert bumper sticker that we launched here, which I'm now at the other station, and I said, all I have to do is take a picture of that and put the year I was at Channel 2. Boom. I sent it into the feds. It was like, yeah, that's yours. These guys have to cease and desist. So I started it as a fun way to say, it's going to be so cold tonight, it's time to cuddle with somebody you know or don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not sure I would say it that way anymore. It was just fun.
Right.
Yeah. It's still fun.
Yeah, I agree. It's fantastic.
And so that's where it started.
The Cuddle Alert, it became an institution.
Oh,
around
it is.
Here.
Absolutely.
I do remember when I got back here, just family and friends were like, "Are you going to do that?" And I was like, "Are you kidding me? No, I'm not touching. That belongs to a legend."
Well, I think somebody tried to do Snuggle Alert. Maybe it was Rob Kress over at XYZ for a while, and I didn't care. It was like, okay. Yeah.
This is the sexy indifference.
Yeah.
Like what you are so confident in who you are, not in a pompous way, in a humble way almost. It's fantastic.
He's like, I don't care. Go ahead and do it. Here's a lawsuit for $4 million. That's all it's going to take. Chuck Gaidica, thank you so much.
It's so good to hang with you guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
If you ever want to talk weather, will you call us?
Well, now you see, I've got a thermostat. I've got a thing that controls my sprinkler system. They all give me the weather. My TV does, obviously. My car does. My watch does.
Yeah,
I know.
It's a new
isn't that
world.
funny when people talk about AI taking over jobs? Like, and it's good. If it happens, I'm sorry. It is unfortunate. But there's a part of me that says, bro, everybody's been taking over weather. Like for how long?
But it's still the most important reason people tune in, right?
Sure. So there's a way to adapt, and who knows what the future holds.
But also what you said right there is why we're doing the Weatherboys too, is because you need to reinvent yourself in this industry sometimes. I get the weather on my phone. Got it right here on my phone all the time. So why watch these guys? I like these guys. And that's why watch Chuck? I like Chuck. I trust Chuck. And that is an important part of TV.
You guys you're diminishing some of the attraction because I watch you. I watch everybody, but when I do, and you've got authenticity. You're having fun. I think that's part of being a normal friend. And if you can somehow, I think Bill Bonds had it. I think you guys have. If you can reach through the TV and get me to say, I like you and I want to know more about you, and maybe I'd like to kind of dip in and see what you're doing here, not because I'm on it, but whoever the guest is, I think you guys are onto something. And so now the question is, are the people out there tuning in, if you will, because you've created your own TV station, your network, it's YouTube. So I think it's fantastic. So, it's a joy to be with you guys. It really is.
Well, Chuck, I see you. I like you.
I will accept that.
And I thank you.
Yeah, my goodness.
Chuck Gaidica, thank you for joining us on the Weatherboys podcast. We really appreciate it.
Can we have you on the Weatherboys adventure? I feel like there's something there with the second half significance. We got to do something.
You know what we did talk about?
What? Which one?
Oof, it'd be perfect for him. We'll talk about it afterward.
Well, yeah. Okay.
He'd be perfect for him.
Okay.
All right. We'll talk about it
as
in
a
just second.
pilot, I don't jump out of perfectly good airplanes unless they're on fire. So I've never done that thing.
Okay.
But yeah.
All right, Chuck, again, thank you very much.
Good to see you.
Everybody at home, if you want to watch more of the episodes of the Weatherboys podcast, you can find us on YouTube. Smash and subscribe.
That's right. Please.
Spotify, and also on the Fox Local app. If you open it up, we are the second category down. They placed us up pretty high, and you can watch all of our content there as well. We'll see you all next week. Thanks
Can
for
I
listening.
applaud?
Yes, please
Please,
applaud.
yes.
Derek Taylor, we love you.
Bye, everybody.